What is going on, everyone? Steven here with Self-Driven Income. On this channel, we give you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you start, structure, and maintain healthy and profitable businesses. In this video series, yes, this is a video series. If you're watching this video right now, you're probably watching the long version of this series. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot one long video going over everything that you need to know about signing up, being a rideshare driver, participating with Lyft, like literally everything. I've been a driver for 3 years now. I like to consider myself a professional driver at this point. I've gotten several weeks of solid 5-star ratings, make a lot of money in tips, and I understand the platform pretty well. So I'm making this content to help inform people who are interested in signing up for the service, help them understand how to optimize it and make it something that empowers them to take control of their finances. Because in a nutshell, the way I look at it is when I have extra hours in a day, Lyft is an app that I can turn on and guarantee myself income. Now, when you decide what hours of the day that is for you, you're also deciding how much money you're okay with making. But we'll go into that in this video. We'll talk about the requirements for signing up, what you need, the perspective that you should come into the game with, and just some of the pros and cons. Really just giving you everything you need to know. Like by the end of this video series, you really shouldn't have any questions about signing up or what it takes. The only thing that I ask is that if you do choose to sign up and these videos or this content was a deciding factor for you, please use my promo code. It's not gonna cost you anything. I'll get a credit for you signing up. You will get your sign up guarantee or bonus or whatever it is for your market for doing so. So we'll both win. So we're gonna go over who can sign up. We're gonna go over getting your sign up guarantee. So if you're brand new to the platform, if you've never tried to sign up, they have these things called sign-on bonuses. I wanna make sure that you get your sign-on bonus. When I first signed up, I did not get mine. And it's very simple to get, but it's basically the most money you're gonna be able to make is when you first start. Now, once you get out there and you learn the platform well enough, you'll be able to make similar amounts of money. But you don't want to miss your opportunity to get your sign-on bonus. So we're going to talk about how to get that. We're going to talk about what are bonuses in general. Like once you start driving and you've been doing it for a few weeks or a few months, like what are the bonuses? How do they differ? How do they break down? We're going to talk about maximizing your time, your earnings, picking the right times of day to drive. That's going to be subjective based on your market. We're going to talk about getting better tips, and that's really a behavioral thing. It's like, what do you do to garnish a tip? Like how do you act in a car? What is your service like? So we're gonna go over like just best practices there. We're gonna go over tools of the trade. I'm gonna show you the inside of my car. We're gonna talk about all the things that I have added to my vehicle to make the experience a little bit different. And we're gonna talk about managing your business. So like what apps do I use to manage my finances? What apps do I use to manage my time? How do I get discounts on different services to optimize my spending? All of those good tips for just general business practice, but how they apply to Lyft. So really those are the key things. I'm gonna break it down into separate videos. So if you're the type of person that wants to just watch one super long video and you want to hear me talk I'll try to keep it short. I'll try to keep it under half an hour, but it may go over, who knows. You can watch this video. If you're the type of person that wants, dedicated content, like you only care about guarantees and how you get those, you only care about understanding the bonus structure and like really knowing when is the best time to drive to get bonuses. We'll go over that. I'll have those linked in the description below. There's probably a pop-up somewhere on screen right now to a playlist that I'm gonna make. It should be about between 5 to 10 videos long, but those are just gonna be basically this video cut up into smaller videos for people who are interested in just that dedicated content. So right now we're gonna go over the requirements. Who qualifies to be a Lyft driver? This information is gonna vary dramatically depending on your market. If you live in California, it's gonna be different than if you live in New York. So I'm gonna leave links to Lyft's website where you can go through and it'll let you select your state and you can check out the qualifications based on your state. I'm going to talk about the general qualifications that should apply to most people, but at the same time, understand that it may differ for where you lived. Now, having said that, I'm going to go over the requirements for Washington, D.C., as it's the market that I live and drive in. Now, again, some of these qualifications are going to be universal. Some of them are not. Check the information, figure out what it is for you, and I'll make it really easy for you to find that. So links in the description is probably a whole big thing right here just saying where you can need to go. So first and foremost, you gotta have a driver's license. You gotta have a US-based driver's license. For my area, you have to have that driver's license for at least 1 year. You have to have 1 year of driving history for them to do a, driving history check on you. You have to have a clean background check. Clean is subjective. They'll do a background check on you. If you are aware of criminal history in your background, there is cause for concern. I still encourage everyone to at least try to sign up. Who knows, you might get approved, you might not, but good rule of thumb, if you have any felonies, you probably won't qualify. But again, don't take my word for it. I'll leave a link to their background check information page where you can read through it. Again, worst case scenario, try to sign up. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, unfortunately, that is what it is. Those really are the primary personal requirements. Having a year's driving experience, having a background check. When it comes to the driving experience, you do need to have a relatively clean driving record. So you can't have too many moving violations on your record. Again, the moving violation rule is going to differ for different states. So you want to check the information for the requirements for your state. But I know for the region of Washington, D.C., I think if you have over 2 or 3 major or minor moving violations, it can disqualify you. Now, that doesn't mean that you won't ever be able to drive. It just means that within that 3-year time frame, you won't be able to drive. So if you can keep a clean driving record post 3 years, you should be good to go. Oh, and the other thing, age, 21. You got to be 21. I'm pretty sure that that's a blanket across all of the states. Yeah, that's pretty easy. As for your vehicle requirements, this one definitely differs depending on what state you live in. I know for where I live, your car has to be newer than the last 10 years. So if right now is 2020 and you have a car that is, 2009, you're not going to be able to drive it. It needs to be at least 2010 if it's within the last 10 years. That rule is very dependent on where you live. Check the information for what applies to your state. If you do have a newer car, the car has to have at least 5 seats. If your back seat is one of those weird back seats where it only has 2 seats, so you technically can't fit 3 people in the back because you don't have 3 seat belts in the back seat, you're not going to be able to drive that vehicle. Your car has to have at least 5 seat belts in order to drive for Lyft. It has to have 4 doors as well. No coupes. Can't have a 2-door car. Yeah, that's about it for the vehicle requirements. Now, depending on your market, you may have to get some type of inspection done on your vehicle, whether that is a inspection by a mechanic or a state inspection. That is going to vary for your market. When you first sign up, they're going to go over these requirements for you. But like I said, whatever general requirements for the vehicle, other than the age and other than the number of seats, this is going to differ way too much across the different states. So again, please check the reference information that I leave linked in the description. And for those of you interested in driving luxury vehicles or extra large vehicles, you will get paid more based on, the type of rides that you'll be able to get. But again, that information, I'm going to leave a link in the description to where you can find the requirements for their luxury cars and their Black XL cars and all of that stuff. That is a pretty blanket thing across the country. And they have a publicly facing website where they have a list of cars. So if you're thinking about buying a new car in order to drive, you want to check that information if you do want to fall into the luxury or XL category. I have a 2012 Ford Fusion. It works just fine for me. I don't see myself going luxury. If anything, I'll probably go XL. But later in the video, we're going to talk about the rate card and how you are actually paid and why I feel like the XL option is, at least for how much it would cost me to get an XL car versus getting a luxury car, I think XL is just fine. So now that we talked about the requirements or the qualifications, if you're new to the platform, if you've never tried to sign up as a driver, and I mean if you've never tried to sign up, if you've attempted to sign up before and they said that you didn't meet the qualifications for some reason, and now you do, you've actually applied, so you probably won't be able to get your sign-on bonus. The way the sign-on incentives work, and this isn't just for Lyft, to the best of my knowledge, the majority of the gig economy companies, when you first try to sign up, that is your window to qualify for your sign-on incentive. Now, depending on the time of the year, depending on where you live, the sign-on incentives may be different. You may have a guarantee that says, hey, if you do 140 rides, we guarantee that you'll make $1,000 or something like that. Who knows what it is? It could be more, it could be less, it could be a sign-on bonus. The bonuses and guarantees, again, we're going to talk about the differences between those, but like just in a nutshell, bonuses is extra money for the number of rides, and guarantees is assuring that you'll make a certain amount of money for a certain number of rides. When you first sign up, you want to make sure that you meet the qualifications. Make sure you have a clean background check. Make sure you have a clean driving record. This type of information you can seek out on your own. It's kind of hard for me to leave links to your driving record stuff because that's going to differ for your state. Just check with your DMV. And background check. You should hopefully be aware of your background history if there's anything that is concerning. If you know that you should meet the requirements and you have a vehicle that does qualify, I would say go ahead and sign up. The easiest way to sign up is to download the Lyft app. You can sign up on their website. I don't generally recommend it. This is a tech-first company. They really do push you to use the app, and the majority of the features you're going to find in the app. So you want to just go to your Google Play Store or go to the Apple iTunes Store, download the Lyft app, type in your phone number, type in your name, general base information. When you get to the page that says your market, like what state you live in, select your state. When it comes to the promo code, make sure you type in self-driven income on the promo code. That'll give me credit for giving you this information, giving you this content. Once you submit all of the documentation that they require, like your driver's license, registration, all that baseline information. Usually the approval process for those documents doesn't take too long. Normally about 24 hours, they can review your documents. Sometimes it'll take longer, but make sure you take very, very clear photos. The clearer the picture, the quicker it'll be approved. And then they'll perform the background checks. They'll run your DMV check, they'll run your background history, and again, as long as you know that you meet the qualifications, you've done your research on what the qualifications are by watching this video, and you are aware of your own background information, you should get your sign-on bonus, provided you haven't applied previously. So if everything goes well, you'll get a notification from Lyft saying, hey, congratulations, you're approved. Whenever you're ready to start driving, you do have a time window. Once you are approved, based on what the guarantee or bonus is, and again, like these things differ throughout the year. Sometimes it can be a smaller amount of rides, sometimes it can be a lot of rides, but they'll give you a time window to complete those rides by. You want to break down that time window. So at the time of making this video, if you live in the Washington, D.C. area and you use a referral code to sign up, the current incentive is $1,400 for 170 rides. Now, let's actually talk about what that means. That is a guarantee. So they're not saying they're going to give you an extra $1,400 after you do 170 rides. They're saying when you do 170 rides, they'll make sure you make at least $1,400. With the guarantees, if you make over that amount, in those required rides, then congratulations, you made over $1,400. Like, that's good. But they're not going to pay you anything in addition to that. Now, I like guarantees for new drivers. Why? Because you don't know the platform yet. And guarantees are good. It just means that you don't have to be very specific with the times that you drive in order to make a reasonable amount of money. Now, let's really break down what $1,400 for 170 rides means. In Washington, D.C., in this market, the lowest paying ride is $3.75. So if someone's not going too far, you'll make no less than $3.75 in the DC market. Again, that is going to vary based on your market. So let's say you do 170 rides and every single ride pays $3.75. You would have made $637.50. So if by some stroke of just bad luck, your first 170 rides are all the cheapest paying rides, Lyft is assuring you that they will pay you an additional $762.50 as long as you do those rides within the required amount of time. Now, what is the required amount of time? I mean, if it's 170 rides, they usually give you between a month or 2 months. Again, when you sign up, when you get your guarantee, it'll tell you how long it is. So don't take my word from this video as like, oh, that is exact. No, they will tell you in the app once you sign up. But assuming you have to do that in 1 month, what does 170 rides in a month look like? It looks like somewhere around 40 rides a week. I do more than 40 rides a week, and it doesn't take a lot of time to do 40 rides. You can really do 40 rides in about 2 days without a whole bunch of stress. Again, that's in my market. In other markets, maybe it's different. But let's say you have 2 months to do that. Well, that's around 20 rides a week, which is even easier. Like on my breezy days, I do maybe 15 to 18 rides a day. And that's just like me chilling, like not even stressing out, not even putting in too much effort. And keep in mind, shared rides, if you're doing shared rides, each person you pick up is considered a ride. So that's going to add to you getting your guarantees quicker. And I can't really speak to what the average is, like how many rides you get per day or per hour, because again, it's going to vary dramatically based on your city, based on the times of day that you drive, based on where you drive. Do you hang around metro stations where people are literally getting off the train and just going home? And most times people get off at the metro stop closest to their house. So maybe that ride only takes like 7 minutes and you go back to the metro station and you do that constantly. Or are you driving from the airport where people are going, 45 minutes, 30 miles away because they just got off a plane? Like where and when you drive would dramatically dictate how many rides you can do in a day. So again, information like that is what I'm going to be sharing with you later in these videos. But I want you to consider one thing. I want you to consider how you as a Lyft passenger, what is your average distance when you order a Lyft? Think about that for a second. Probably not that far. Now I want you to think about the fact that Lyft as a platform, as a driver, it has a queue system. A lot of times when you're driving, you'll have passengers added to your queue before you drop off the passenger who's already in your car. So think about how long your average Lyft ride is as a passenger. Keep in mind there's a queue system so that rides are being added even before you drop somebody off. And then I want you to think about how many rides you think you might be able to do in a day if you were to sign up for Lyft. So that is, in a nutshell, how to manage your guarantee, how to make it, accessible to you. Like when you hear 170 rides to someone who hasn't done this before, that may sound like a lot of rides. You just got to break it up. break up your time and decide what days of the week, what hours of the day are you going to go out there. Know that if you have a guarantee, you don't have to be out there at the most difficult hours of the day driving. Like, if I had a guarantee, I probably wouldn't do rush hour. I probably would hang around metro stops and just take people on their last mile home. Make it real easy for yourself. Turn those $4 trips into $8 trips just by way of them paying you the difference. So like that is how to make sure you sign up, you get your guarantee, and how to, get that money. So when it comes to how you are compensated as a driver, this is going to vary dramatically based on your market. But the way you are paid is the same. You are compensated on a base fare. You're compensated for the distance that you travel and the time that it takes you to complete a ride. Those three things combine to equate to what you'll be compensated per ride: base fare, time, and distance. Once you sign up as a Lyft driver and you're approved, you can go into your app, go to the dashboard. The dashboard is nothing more than Lyft.com. You can go to Lyft.com and there's something that says rate card. You want to click on your rate card and it'll tell you what your base fare is. It'll tell you your per mile rate, and it'll tell you your per minute rate. Other than those three things, you do have the weekly ride challenge, you have guarantees, you have streak bonuses, and you have personal power zones. These are all different ways you can make more money driving for Lyft. I'm gonna break down what those are. The weekly ride challenge is your bonus. So these things are not guaranteed at all. Some days you may not see any of them. Some days you may see a lot of them. Every week they will send out an email letting you know what your bonuses are for the following week. If you have a weekly ride challenge, the way the weekly ride challenges work are once you hit the designated number of rides, they will pay you an additional amount of money on top of what you get from the ride fares. Now, that additional amount of money can come in tiers, and what it will look like is it'll show you the lowest tier first, which is usually a pretty decent payout. And then it'll say, once you do this number of rides, if you can do a few more, we'll pay you this amount in addition. So it just adds up. Now, guarantees, the way guarantees work is they'll give you a set number of rides and they will say, if you don't make this amount of money within these rides, we'll pay you the difference. With guarantees, I personally like them because they make my week a lot less stressful. I don't want to be out during the most difficult hours of the day driving when I have a guarantee, because I don't have to be. I can try to find those cheap, low-paying, quick rides that I can knock out in 7 minutes or 5 minutes because people aren't going very far when I have a guarantee. And you can kind of control that just by where you go online. Like if your method is to leave the house and immediately go online, well, you're subjected to the rides that are going to be around where you live. But if you drive to populated areas, like me personally, if I have guarantees, I go straight to the metro stations. Like I wait till, like, people normally are heading home from work in this area around 5 o'clock. You hit up the metro station around 5 o'clock, chances are you can get somebody from the metro station going home. Chances are home for them is not too far away. So you can control, to some degree, the rides that you get by going online in the areas where you want to get those rides. You want to think about the people who are here, where are they likely headed. If you're in the middle of the city, they could be going anywhere. If you're in the suburbs, picking someone up from a metro station, they're probably going home if it's 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I do like the guarantees. It just, you want to be strategic about how you use them. Now, streaks are pretty awesome. A streak is similar to the weekly ride challenge, but it's only on particular days and is only for a particular time period. But if you do, let's say you get a streak for an extra $6 or something like that. What that is saying is if you complete, let's say it's $6 for 3 rides. One, those rides have to be done consecutively, meaning you can't go offline. Meaning you can't be like what I do sometimes is I'll go to the metro stop, pick up somebody, drop them off, turn the app off, drive back to the metro stop, turn the app back on, wait for a new ride. Chances are the ride will be from there. You know, like game in the system, just a little bit. Now, a streak eliminates that. You can't get a streak while gaming the system. The streak, you have to stay online the entire time that you complete those 3 rides. So you're online, you get your first ride within that window. Let's say the streak is between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. You have to go online between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. You have to get your first ride between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. If you're going online at 7:57, you got 3 minutes to get a ride. You may not get a ride in 3 minutes, depending on where you are. You may not get a ride until 8:02, which puts you outside of that window. So my best practice for streaks is go online if it says 7 o'clock, go online at 7. That way, if best case scenario, you can complete, again, let's say it's $6 for 3 rides. You go online at 7. Your first ride is a shared ride, which is 2 rides technically, or it could be 3. You could knock it all, you could get that streak in 1 ride if you pick up 3 different people. Let's say you can complete that within that hour window. You're still within that hour window, so your next ride after you've done 3 is still considered for another streak. So you can get 2 streaks within that hour. So you wanna try to go online as soon as the streak starts so you can try to get more than 1 if you can. Now, for me, doing more than 3 rides in an hour, I don't count on that based on the rides that I normally average in this area. But it is possible. And the final bonus is the personal power zones. Now, personal power zones. We're gonna break this down because it's kind of a lot. Personal power zones. What they look like is when you're driving along, you have the Lyft app open, you'll see these pink and purple areas pop up seemingly at random on your map. And they'll have a dollar amount in those different zones. So the pink will say $1, like something, and the purple will say another dollar amount. The purple is normally lower than the pink. It is actually always lower than the pink. The pink is the more centralized zone. So the purple is the perimeter and the pink is the central area. And when you get into that zone and you're online, you will get whatever the dollar amount is in addition to the ride fare. So as an example, let's say the purple says $1.50 and the pink says $2.35. You'll make either $1.50 if you get a ride in the purple, you'll make $2.25 in the pink. I always get the pink because what I'll do is once I see a personal power zone pop up on my map, I'll go offline, drive to the pink, go online, you get your bonus. Now, the longer you sit in that area without a ride, those values will slowly tick up. So every few seconds, they'll add a few more cents. So if you're in an area where you see a personal power zone and you're not getting a ride request, that $2.35 can turn into an additional $5, depending on how long you sit there. After you sit there long enough, and again, I don't know what the parameter is for what is long enough, but after you sit there long enough, if you haven't gotten a ride request, the bonus will max out. It'll stop at some point, and it'll lock on to you. It won't lock on as soon as it stops. So like, let's say you see you're in the pink and it's $2.50. It goes up to $5, and it says you've received like you're at the max bonus. Wait even longer, And then once it turns gray, that means it's locked onto you, and you can drive around from that point and find your next ride. Personal power zones, from what I can tell, they're based on a few different things. They're based heavily on the demand in the area. I primarily see them around like large events, sporting events, concerts, where there's massive volume of people potentially ordering Lyft rides. And they also seem to be somewhat dictated around time of day. In the mornings during like rush hour, I see personal power zones, but like in the midday where, it's like lunchtime and people aren't really moving around through the city, I don't see that many personal power zones. So time of day and, population density play a very, very huge role in whether or not these things pop up. But also what I've noticed is the demand. Like, if I am sitting downtown DC and it looks like a lot of people who are probably ordering Lyfts, and I don't see a personal power zone, the next thing I do is I look for how many cars do I see with Lyft stickers. When I see a whole bunch of drivers in the same area, I don't often see, well, I don't want to say I don't often, it depends, but you want to think about where there are going to be a lot of people. Is this a good hour of day for the demand? And is there likely to be a massive amount of other drivers in that area? Which just makes sense. Like, if they're paying you more for the ride, then those three things should equate in some capacity. Like, I see them as like levers. Like, if this goes up, this goes up, and this goes up, I'll probably get a bonus. If this goes up, this goes up, this goes down, I'll probably so you want to think about those things when it comes to personal power zones. I will say that at least in my market, they seem to have some type of cadence. Like, I'm pretty good at kind of understanding where they're going to populate in the mornings, just because I see them populate in similar areas every morning. In the evenings, depending on what's going on in my city, make yourself aware of the common areas of interest. Like, if you have a large concert venue downtown that is always having concerts, make yourself aware of that, drive around that area while the concerts are happening, and see if you don't see some type of consistency with the personal power zones. But getting those can drastically change the amount of money that you make per hour while driving. And you want to consider the hours that those are most likely to occur. That's how you maximize your time. So yeah, that is in a nutshell the bonus structure with Lyft. Those are pretty much all the bonuses that I can think of. Yeah, the more you drive, the better you'll understand the time of year, the time of day, the commuting patterns for your city, and you'll really be able to optimize your time when you go out there. Because just driving aimlessly is, you'll make some money, but driving strategically, you'll make more money. So you've signed up for Lyft, you've got approved, you're ready to start driving. Maybe you've been out there for a few weeks, a few months, you've gotten pretty used to it. How can you make even more money? How can you get tipped for your rides? Tips is really something that, like, Lyft doesn't control tips, your passenger does. If your passenger likes you, they'll tip. If they don't, they won't. And I want you to consider that, like, I remember back in 2-3 years ago when I first started driving, I got tipped pretty regularly. I still do get tipped pretty regularly. But back then, people ordered Lyfts and ordered rideshare more sporadically. Like, people are building it into their daily norms now. And when you do something every single day, let's say I work downtown and I live slightly outside of the city. If I take a Lyft to work every day, I'm probably not going to tip every single driver. That's just, people don't do that. So what can you do to make the experience in your car more unique, so you stand out amongst the tens or 20s or hundreds of drivers that these people see? Because just like when you're in a restaurant, you know, you can have a waiter, but unless they are, you know, like unique, like sure you may tip, but you'll tip more for a better experience. And really, I think the way you provide the best experience is just by being able to read people, understanding what they might want. Some people want to talk. They'll try to talk to you, you know, like I can't really speak to how to be sociable, but I think that understanding the cues that people give off, some people want a quiet ride. They don't want to hear anything. They just want to get in the car and they want to go where they want to go. Giving people a sense of control in the environment is everything. As a Lyft driver, I try to do that all the time. Like I will ask people what type of music they like to listen to. And I personally drive with a Amazon Echo so that I can use my voice to control the music. Someone says, hey, I want to listen to some Jason Mraz. I'll say, Alexa, play some Jason Mraz, and it'll start playing. Like giving them a sense of control, making it their experience in their car. I mean, although it's your car, but it's like they're paying for it. So the time that they're in the car, it is their car. And making them feel that, I think is a very powerful way you can get them to enjoy the service more. If they enjoy the service more, they might be willing to leave you a little something extra. Now, I don't really have much other recommendations than that. Like really how you drive and how you get passengers to like you, I can only offer so much advice when it comes to that. But I just always say, be honest, you know, drive with integrity. For me, if I miss a turn or I miss an exit, or if I notice something like the GPS is telling me to go one way, but I know it'll be faster another way, like that transparency seems to be appreciated. People just like understanding what's happening. So be transparent, be honest, and treat people like people. Even if when they first get in the car, they may treat you like a servant. I'm not saying that it happens all the time, but this is a service industry to an extent. So treat people like people, treat people how you want to be treated, and I think you'll see the residual from doing that. So I hope that information was helpful. If it was, please leave a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know what information you found particularly helpful. If there's some information that you wished I covered, please comment down below, because I do plan on continuing this series and adding to this playlist of videos. And make sure you rate, comment, subscribe to the channel for more information. If you do make a decision to sign up for Lyft based on the information that I've given you today, please use my promo code Self-Driven Income. It means a lot to me, and it helps me be able to take the time out of the day to make this type of content, as opposed to being on the road driving. I hope you guys really do take this information to heart, and I hope it does help you improve your quality of life by giving you some more options for your financial stability. Anyway, guys, it's been Steven with Self-Driven Income. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.